What's up guys, I'm CandidCrandell and today I'm going to be talking about the Pretty Little Liars Season 5 summer finale, taking this one to the grave. You know the drill. If you haven't seen the episode yet and you don't want me to spoil anything for you, pause this video right now and come back later. The summer finale begins on Thanksgiving Day and we see all of the cop cars gathered around a house and the liars are crying. I really love when Pretty Little Liars will start off at the end and then go back however many hours they need to explain how we got to that point. The technical term for it is an evente. They've done it several times before and I think it's really, really effective and I love it when they do it. The girls receive a text from A while they are standing outside the house that says, "It's all your fault, A." And then we flash back 36 hours to when Allie is taking a lie detector test. Something I think we all thought that we would never see. Allison DeLaurentis hooked up to a lie detector test and not looking nervous. Before they begin, someone says to Holbrook, maybe we should wait for Tanner, and he gives them a weird look. I don't know what this means, but I'm also like, where's Lieutenant Tanner? She's kind of been taking point on this, hasn't she? Holbrook, you gonna just like swoop in and steal everything from her? Doesn't seem like a very nice thing to do, partner. Also on the topic of Detective Holbrook, where has he been this entire season thus far? He was there when Allie came back from New York and then just like scurried off somewhere to do A knows what. I really don't trust him though. It's weird that he is the one supervising this lie detector test, and I think it might have something to do with why Allison is feeling so confident about it. When they ask Allison for her full legal name, she pauses for a second. There's something strange going on with that. After all this time, we finally get to see what Mona's room looks like, and of course it is filled to the brim with creepy dolls. I wish I could say I was surprised by this. The girls come to visit Mona and she says, why the grim faces? Did somebody die? Ugh, girl, foreshadowing. The girls have come to ask Mona for help in figuring out what Allie said during her lie detector test. Mona's like, well, why can't you just ask Allison that? And the girls say that they don't think that Allison would tell them the truth. I think if they asked her what she said in her lie detector test, she'd probably slap them like she slapped Mona. We cut back to Allison taking her lie detector test and she's saying that in the barn the night that she disappeared was Aria, Hannah, and Emily, and she doesn't mention Spencer. This is strange to me because even though Allie and Spencer had a fight, Spencer was there in the barn when Allie arrived. We finally get to meet Mona's mom and she seems so nice, dang it. Mona apologizes to the girls for taking out her Allie anger on them. And it seems like a really genuine apology. Mona has been tortured a great deal too. I think a lot of people forget that because she was the first A. After the game was stolen from her, things were not good for Mona either. Spencer says that Melissa's confession doesn't really help them at all because it doesn't answer the question of who hit Bethany Young over the head, and it also does place Spencer in that area around the same time. It also places Allie there, but we won't go into that. Mona's mom pulls Hannah aside and says that she needs to ask her, now that Allison is back, is it starting again? I really felt bad for Mona's mom in this moment because after all of the crap that Allison put Mona through, we forget that the parents see it too. They're the ones who see it firsthand. They see you come home every day. She probably saw what was going on with Mona, at least to an extent, and I'm sure it was upsetting for her as a mother. Hannah says that she's not really friends with Allison anymore, so she can't say what she's doing, but she does say that she thinks that Mona is scared of Allison and that the rest of them are too. Mona goes up to her room and makes a phone call and says, send out a code A. Presumably, I think she's talking to Lucas on the phone. Mona goes to the brew and thinks someone has followed her there. The only other person inside, besides the person that works at the brew, is Lucas. Mona's like, where's everyone else? And Lucas tells her that they aren't coming. Allie has somehow convinced all of Mona's army that Allie is the saint and that Mona is crazy Mona. I think that's worse than loser Mona, personally. Calling someone crazy is legitimately hurtful, especially when that person does have a history of mental illness. It's not Mona's fault that she's mentally ill. There are chemicals in her brain doing that, and so for people to call her crazy when Allie drove her crazy really seems unfair and unbelievably cruel. Mona says, "You think you can be crazy and not know it?" Lucas tells her that she can't keep thinking that way, otherwise Allison wins. And Mona says that she's not talking about herself, she's talking about Allison. I feel like this supports the theory that I shared of if Allison is A, I don't think she knows it. And I think that she has dissociative identity disorder. I don't know if this is what she's referring to, I don't know if that's what they're doing, but I would love to see them delve further into Allison DeLaurentis's mental health. Mona meets with the girls in the bathroom and they're discussing why Allison would take a lie detector test. She wouldn't put herself at risk like that. She must have gone in there knowing that she believes her story. The guy explained to her when she was sitting down to take the lie detector test that when remembering something that actually happened, you're using your memory, but when you are lying, you're using your imagination, and a lie detector test can determine that shift. This is something that Allison has talked about before. In order to be a good liar, you have to believe the lie yourself first. She said that to Ezra, and then Mona brings up that point again. Allison could have gone in there and she really believes the story that she's telling. The girls are curious as to why someone would do that. Hannah points out that the only reason someone would do something like that is if you did something so bad that you didn't want to believe that you did it, that you couldn't believe that you did it. I don't know, something like murder. If Allison murdered someone, that would totally explain why she was trying to get out of Rosewood. I think she had other motives for getting out of Rosewood, but if she committed murder, I don't think she'd hang around to see if the cops could figure out if she did it. And what better way to make yourself not a suspect than for people to think that you're the one in the grave? Mona says to the liars, she can't play with her dolls anymore if you won't let her. This is how she's ending the game. There have been a lot of references to the girls being Allison's dolls that she plays with and controls and can just put on a shelf when she's done with them and then take them down whenever she wants. Mona goes on to say that the four girls are the perfect combination of personality types for a sociopath to manipulate. Spencer is smart, Emily is loyal, Hannah is admiring, and Aria is compassionate. Aria says that she's always wondered why Allie chose her, and Mona says that it's because Aria cares so much, that it's gotta be really fun for someone like Allison who can't feel anything to mess with someone who feels so much. Mona points out that individually, each and every one of those girls would have bored her, but together as a group, they were a challenge for Allison, and that's why she chose all of them. If you think about it, she really did pluck them from their respective places and then make them into what they are now. She dressed them, she did their hair, she told them how to walk, how to talk. It's a little creepy. Mona agrees to help the girls figure out what Allison said during her lie detector test. She says that it's because even though she got early acceptance into 3 colleges, she still needs to survive the rest of senior year, and she doesn't think that she can do that alone. Mona doesn't want anyone to know that she's helping them. She says, I don't want to hold your hand in the hallway, Emily, because that would put her in danger. That she hates to think of what Allison would do to her if she found out that she was helping the girls. Mona tells the girls to just act normal. This is interesting because it totally reminds me of that A message that they got last week that said, act normal, bitches. Cindy and Mindy, aka the creepy twins, come into the bathroom and they see Mona talking to the girls. Uh-oh. It was mentioned in passing that Allison apologized to Cindy and Mindy and they pretty much forgave her instantly. After the girls and Mona leave the bathroom, Cindy and Mindy both come out of the stalls and give each other a look, and I feel like they're going to be reporting what they saw to Allison. And that's not going to be good for the girls or Mona. Paige and Emily are talking in the hallway and Emily's like, oh, we never got to finish our talk, and Paige says that she's tired of talking and she goes in for the kiss. It's a little awkward because I think Emily isn't like expecting it, but I think it's a pleasant surprise, especially after the revelation that Emily had last week that with Allison it's always games, but with Paige it's genuine. Mona's mom was in Principal Hackett's office, but when she runs into Mona, she says that she was in the cafeteria dropping off food for a food drive. I wonder what she was talking to Principal Hackett about. I have a feeling it might have something to do with how Hannah mentioned that both Mona and the rest of the girls were all afraid of Allison. Mona sees Allison in the hallway talking with a new group of dolls, it would seem. We have no idea who these people are, but it just looks like interchangeable Aria, Spencer, Hannah, Emily. If her one set of dolls doesn't want to play the way she wants to play, she'll throw them away and find another set. Allie gets called into Principal Hackett's office, and I don't think this is a coincidence, especially after Mona's mom was just in there. Ezria is over at Ezra's apartment making pie, of course, and this time they're making Ezra's grandmother's homemade pumpkin pie recipe. And Aria's like, we can just pick up pies from Paula's, nobody's gonna notice. And Ezra says that he's never been invited over to the Montgomerys for Thanksgiving before, and Ella put him on pie duty. I cannot get over how ironic, hysterical that is. If she only knew what pie means to Ezria, she would not have asked him to bring pie into her house. Spencer is looking through a photo album. There are pictures of Allison and the girls from before Allison disappeared. And on one of the pictures, Allison has written, "My 4 besties, kisses, Allie." The handwriting looks a lot like the A notes that they've been receiving. I know in the past we've always said that Allison tends to write in cursive. At the very least, Allie's diary was in cursive, and she's written other things in cursive before, so I don't know if this is significant or not, but it seems odd that sometimes she writes in cursive and sometimes she writes in print. And I feel like Spencer might be thinking the same thing as well. Doesn't pique her interest too much though, because Officer Toby comes in and wants to role play. I love Spoby, and Officer Toby looks very nice in his uniform. Also, how long does it take to get through the police academy? It feels like Toby was there for like 2-3 weeks. Is it like summer camp or something like that? No wonder the Rosewood PD is so incompetent if it only takes them like 3 weeks to become a cop. Spencer gives Toby a gold pocket watch with an engraving inside it for his graduation. It says, "You are my once upon a time, S." Adorable. Lucas is at the Rosewood Police Department, and he talks to Officer Barry about how he can sign up for the high school liaison program. Officer Barry goes to get the application form, and of course, Lucas sticks a device into his computer. I think we all knew that Lucas wasn't going to be joining any high school liaison program. The device that Lucas has put into Officer Barry's computer will enable Mona to hack into his system. Yes. You guys, Hacker Mona is my absolute favorite Mona of all time. She is a bad, bad bitch. The only thing about Mona hacking into the system while sitting in the bathroom that was kind of like, to me, was that she didn't turn off the volume on her laptop. It's like, you think that the cop that was washing her hands is gonna hear like computer sounds and not be like, hey, what's going on in here? Although it is the Rosewood Police Department, so maybe not. There is a password needed to get into the system, and unlike Caleb, who took like forever to crack passwords, Mona sees this as more of like an inconvenience. Really? I have to do this? That was another extra 10 seconds. Ugh. Emily, Hannah, Caleb, and Paige are all decorating Emily's house for Christmas. The Fields family always decorates early for Christmas. They like to be done by Thanksgiving Day, and Emily is usually the one who does it. Side note, I need Emily's t-shirt. Read her boobs, the girl loves Christmas. Thank you, Hannah Marin. Mona is able to download the full tape of Allie's lie detector test. So in her lie detector test, Allie says that Spencer came over to her house. I feel like this is different than what we've seen in the flashbacks. Spencer and Allison fight inside Spencer's house. Spencer tells Allie to leave. Allie does, and then Spencer follows her when Allie is walking towards her house. But Spencer doesn't come visit Allison at her house. It's just a slight difference, which I think is the key here, but it's slight enough that it is making Spencer look hella guilty. The police ask Allison if she thinks that her friends would do anything for her, anything that she needed. I think so. I don't like where they're going with this. She doesn't ever mention that Spencer is at the barn, and the cops are like, well, why wasn't Spencer at the barn? It's on her property. It would be weird if she wasn't at the barn when it was on her property, but she was, because Allison is lying to you. Allie then talks about about seeing Spencer's amphetamine pills and promising not to tell anyone about it. The police ask Allison what Spencer was willing to do for Allison to keep quiet, and Allison's like, oh, I don't know, we never discussed it. She is making Spencer look so guilty. Ugh. Then the person administering the test says to Allison, is there anything else you'd like to tell me? Allison chooses, of all things, to say, I didn't have anything to do with Bethany Young's murder. Excuse me? That came out of nowhere. Did she know that she was a person of interest? Why else would she have brought that up? And worse yet, because Allison legitimately thinks that she didn't have anything to do with the murder of Bethany Young, or at least that's what she's been telling herself, it came up as true on the lie detector test. This is not good. Holbrook comes over to Allison's house and he says that he shouldn't be there without Lieutenant Tanner. Yeah, where is Lieutenant Tanner, by the way? Usually I'm totally a fan of her not being around, but where is that bitch? Holbrook sees the piano in Allison's living room and asks her if she plays. And she says, I used to, but I got bored. I can't remember why. I wonder if Holbrook plays piano because A plays piano. Holbrook has come to tell Allison that she is no longer a person of interest in Bethany Young's murder, that she has been cleared. Why is Holbrook coming to tell Allison this? Like, what relationship does he have with her? I feel like they know each other. I just don't trust these two. Caleb has been helping get into some of the files that Mona got. Apparently the cops got access to Bethany Young's Radley files yesterday. There must have been something important in there because Caleb was also able to find an affidavit from Holbrook that was sent to the DA. It says that Allison DeLaurentis is no longer a person of interest in the murder of Bethany Young, and that it supports the theory that they've been working for a while, that Spencer Hastings killed Bethany Young in order to gain favor with Allison. So we're saying that Allison probably wanted Bethany dead and that Spencer killed her for Allison. Leave it to the Rosewood Police Department to have that as their theory as opposed to Allison DeLaurentis would have wanted this girl dead. We should probably look into her a little bit more. No, the easier thing to do is assume that her friend who would want to gain favor with her would actually do it as opposed to the girl who would want to do it and who actually had a motive. Like, do the cops think this little of these girls that they would just kill a stranger in order to gain favor with a friend? It's just insulting a little bit. Spencer says that she knows what this affidavit means, that they're getting ready to issue an arrest warrant. So it looks like Spencer is the one that's gonna get arrested for the murder of Bethany Young, which she definitely did not have anything to do with. Spencer and Mona decide that they're going to go back into Radley together in an attempt to look at Bethany Young's files. There's clearly something important there if the day after they got access to those files, the police are writing an affidavit to the DA. Mona and Spencer are dressed as Radley nurses, and Caleb is sitting watch in the car. Hannah is on headset, and Caleb is on the laptop hacking into the Radley security system. Emily tells Paige that she's not feeling well and that she's gonna get into bed, when in reality she's already texted Allison to come over because she's trying to distract her. Allison arrives and Emily turns around like really quickly and she looks pretty startled. I seriously saw the hair on the back of your neck stand up when you heard my voice. Sorry? You're a little bit creepy, and also you're just like lurking into doorways and you didn't ring the doorbell or anything like that, so. Emily tells Allison that she's really bothered by the fact that they're not speaking. It's the day before Thanksgiving and she just doesn't feel right about that. Allie said that she wasn't surprised when the other girls turned on her, but she was surprised when Emily did. I'm sorry I disappointed you, and goes to leave. Emily says, wait, I don't want it to be like this. Emily can't see Allison's face, and Allison definitely has like a little smirk of like, I've got you now. It's really funny because Emily's totally playing her too, and it's kind of nice to see her getting beat at her own game. Aria is helping out in an art class at Radley. She spills some paint to distract one of the nurses so that Mona and Spencer can steal the keys to the file room. Detective Holbrook shows up at Radley, and this is not good at all. What is he doing there? Why does he know to be there? Haven't they already gotten everything that they need out of there? Holbrook sees Aria in the art class and she's cleaning up the paint, and he says, you really made a mess of things, didn't you? I think he's obviously talking about the paint, but the look on his face also suggests that maybe he's talking about something else. Holbrook wants to know how long it's been going on, and Aria says, what do you mean? And he says, the lies, the cover-ups, the murders. What the hell? Oh my god, he's being real direct. And then he's like, your volunteer program. That seemed very A-like. Holbrook asks if Aria started volunteering before or after the police identified Bethany Young's body as the one in Allison's grave. Aria doesn't answer because she's being smart, finally. Holbrook goes to leave and he asks Aria one more question. He wants to know if her volunteering at Radley was Spencer's idea. This question Aria does answer and she says no. Good girl. Caleb finds a list of schools in Hannah's car and he wants to know what they're about. Hannah says, you know that college test they make us take, the SCTs? Caleb says, the SATs? Whatever one they made me take. Apparently I did kinda good on it. Caleb says, how good? Enough that the guidance counselor called me in for cheating. I didn't cheat. Allie says to Emily that there's no way the girls will let her be friends with her, if that's what Emily wants. Emily says, well, I make my own decisions, it's not a group vote. Then Allie says that she's had chills all day and asks if Emily can make her some tea. Emily goes to leave and Allison takes this opportunity to look at her cell phone. 1. Why did Emily leave her cell phone? You know that you've been getting texts from Hannah about keeping Allison busy. Put the phone in your pocket, for crying out loud. Come on. Also, apparently these girls do not have phones with lock screens on them because Allison was able to just like open up Emily's phone and see that Hannah has been texting her. Hannah wants to know if you're still keeping me busy. I'm A, right? And Emily replies, I don't know. Are you? Must hurt when the loyal one betrays you. This is the last straw for Allison, so she pushes past Emily and hits her in the shoulder. Girl's got a violent streak. Paige has come to bring Emily soup, but she sees Allison leaving Emily's house. Instead of being jealous Paige, which I think she probably would have been a couple weeks ago, she decides to follow Allison because she sees her get in the car with Cindy and Mindy. What is up with these twins? They creep me out. I don't like it. Also, they're letting Allison drive their car. When did that girl have time to take her driver's test or even driver's ed while she was missing? She was too young to have a driver's license before she went missing. Like, she wouldn't have been taught yet. So how does she know how to drive? Mona and Spencer are going through Bethany Young's files and apparently there are tapes of every single one of her sessions. Spencer asks Mona which schools she's choosing between and Mona says that she got early acceptance to Yale, Harvard, and Dartmouth and that she got full rides from all of them. She was also accepted early at Brown, but they didn't offer her a full ride. Spencer then says that she hasn't heard from any colleges yet. I think we all thought that Spencer was going to be a shoo-in for a great college and it looks kind of like she might not be going anywhere. Spencer and Mona listen to Bethany Young's August 8th session tape. I thought she really liked me, but everything she said to me was a lie. Every word, every visit. I wonder if I can trust anyone in that family. Is it like mother, like daughter? Bethany is talking about Mrs. De Laurentiis here, and apparently Mrs. De Laurentiis was having an affair with Bethany's dad. Who wasn't Jessica De Laurentiis sleeping with at this point, I guess? Unless Bethany's dad also happens to be Peter Hastings, which I don't necessarily think is out of the realm of possibility. It also seems like Bethany knew about the existence of Allison. Spencer is on the phone with Toby. She was supposed to meet him at the Brew to go to his graduation and she was late, obviously, because she was busy breaking into Radley. And while she's on the phone with Toby, she hears him get into a car crash. I was like, this better not be the person that dies, because if it's just like a random car crash that kills someone and they've been billing this is the fatal finale, not cool. Luckily, we get back from the commercial break and Toby is fine, except for the fact that he's got a full leg cast and he's in a wheelchair, but Hannah got through it. He'll get through it too. Paige comes to talk to Emily and the girls about what she saw Allison doing after she left Emily's house. Apparently, she got into the car with Cindy and Mindy and they drove her to an abandoned barn. Paige also said that there were at least a dozen other cars there and that it looks like Allison is building an army. Just what we need, Allison's army. I want nothing to do with that. Spencer gets arrested at the Brew for the murder of Bethany Young. I feel like it's really rude of them to arrest her in a public place like that. It's Thanksgiving, couldn't they have gone to her house? At this point, I am very much team I don't trust Detective Holbrook at all. Someone with blonde curly hair, a black hoodie, and black pants is watching Mona outside her house. Mona goes back into her house and she locks the door. But I think we all know at this point that locks don't mean shit to A. It's interesting because the person that is watching Mona from the street does look different from the person that we're going to see in her house in a little bit. When Aria tells Ezra about Spencer being in jail, he doesn't seem too worried about her. Not sure why, but I still feel like Ezra Fitz is holding out on us and that he knows something that he is not sharing. Mona calls Aria and says that Allison lured Bethany to Rosewood. She found out about the affair and she was jealous and she wanted Bethany dead. Someone picks the lock of Mona's Mona's front door and they come into her house. The figure looks male to me. The shoes that they're wearing look remarkably similar to the shoes on the person that broke into Allison's house and almost choked her with her scarf. And whoever this person is also happens to be wearing a shoulder-length blonde wig. It's lighter blonde than Allison's hair, so I think it's clearly not Allison. Mona says to Aria, "Allison is A and I can prove it." Mona hangs up the phone and looks in the mirror and says, "Game over, Allison, I win." Just at this moment, she hears someone coming up the stairs. The person in the blonde wig and the black hoodie comes into Mona's room, and when she sees them, she screams. This is another indicator for me that I don't think that this is Allison. Also, when the person is walking into the room, we get a close-up shot of their chest, and it does not look like they've got boobs. The girls head over to Mona's house because she just said that she's got proof that Allison's A, and when they get there, they find the front door open and there's blood everywhere. Handprints on the wall. It's terrifying. And they choose to run up the stairs, and I don't know why they do this. I wish that they would have just like called the cops and not gone up there. I guess they probably thought that maybe Mona was up there and that they could help her, but at this point, they've been around enough death to know that they should get out of the house and call the cops when they see something like that. It looks like Mona fought back. That is true to her character, that she would not have gone down without a fight, and as disturbing as it was to see that blood everywhere, it was also kind of really great to see that Mona was still fighting till she died. The police are ruling this a homicide. Despite the fact that they haven't found a body, they're saying that the amount of blood would indicate a fatal wound. Detective Hallbrook says to the press, "Mona Vanderwall was murdered." Let the tears begin. Everyone is upset, and then Allie's standing off in the background like smirking. It's like she feels like Mona moved away or something. Now at this point I was definitely thinking, okay, well, Pretty Little Liars rule number one, if we don't see a body, we can't assume they're dead. We see the person in the black hoodie going to Emily's house and stealing the baby Jesus from the manger and putting a Mona doll there instead. If you killed the girl, it's already bad enough that you did that. Why are you putting a doll in Emily's yard? Come on. I am standing behind my gut with this, that I think it's a guy in a wig. When the person in the black hoodie opens the trunk to put the baby Jesus in, we see Mona's body. Now we know for sure that Mona is dead. It's creepy. She looks like blue, gray blue, like she doesn't have any blood left in her. And her eyes are open, which says to me that she was looking at the person when she died. Whoever this is really, really, really messed up and needs to be caught. At the end of the episode, we see a person in a black hoodie cutting out a picture of the girls to put inside a snow globe and eating popcorn. You know, because they would love to have some popcorn to go with their murder. Lots of things going on in this episode. All of the Allison is A and I can prove it stuff, and then Mona dying. I feel like that's still too obvious for the writers to actually be doing that, especially because Mona was able to say to the girls that she thought that Allison was A. A didn't get to her in time, so I really don't think it was Allison. But I do think that whoever killed Mona probably has some kind of connection to Allison in some way. I'm not sure who it is, why they're helping Allison the way that they are. At least we know it's not Ezra, because he was with Aria when she got the call, and then he came over to Mona's house with her, and during the time between Aria getting the call and them getting there, Mona was killed. Ezra wouldn't have had time to do that, so thank goodness it's not my boy. He didn't kill Mona, at least. Who do you guys think killed Mona? I am totally interested in your theories on this. I know that we're in for a super long wait until another Pretty Little Liars episode, and it is very upsetting, but on October 21st, they are going to be having a Pretty Little Liars Halloween fan appreciation special where we're going to get some questions answered by the cast. Looks like it's going to be really fun. And then we're also getting a Christmas special this year. We've never gotten a Christmas special before, and from what I've been reading in interviews, it's going to be really good. Janelle Parrish has said that Mona will be there in flashbacks and that she will get to play the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. And that she's gonna get to mess with Allie a little bit. Even though it's Christmas, it sounds like we're still gonna get a lot of the creepiness that we can associate with Pretty Little Liars Halloween. For all you Mona fans, don't fret, Janelle Parrish is still going to be a regular on the show. Even though Mona is definitely dead, I don't think we should have any conspiracy theories on that. But in the same way that Allison was the flashback girl in the first 3 seasons, Mona is going to become that. We're going to get to go back and learn more about Mona's involvement with things, get some more clues and get some more answers, and I'm really excited to see that aspect of it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the fatal finale. Did you scream? Did you cry? If you don't already, you can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Blogspot, and Instagram, username CandidCrandell. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again on Thursday. Bye.